It feels like I'm getting somewhere now. Let's recap. Hashtag Return to Isfahan was created by a small group of hobbyists who wanted to revisit the old Black Book series by Forge World. You can find the full original article on littlelegendstudio.com. Just type in Return to Isfahan, blame it on Saul. Since then, I've been furrowing away Justarin and Reaver sculpts for a couple of months, slowly building them as lockdown trundled along. As a professional miniature painter, you'd think I crack this army out in no time flat, but you'd be mistaken. It's a job like any other, and the last thing you want to do when you finish work is work some more. I have a young family, and I quite like to see my son from time to time. The miniatures you see on screen, the older resin kits are a lot more time intensive to construct that rather than the newer push fit miniatures that Games Workshop are producing. I really wish we had push fit Reavers. Well, if I'm wishing for stuff, I really wish we had true scale Heresy Marines. That would be just a dream come true. Up the scale, I don't care. I'll recollect this army. I'll repaint the miniatures. The older kits, they're a lot more time intensive to construct. It would save so much time if these were push fit. Each miniature in this 1500 points interior force is more or less built at this point. Not all of them are pictured, obviously, but it's come to the point where I'm able to show off a little bit. I'm able to peacock a little bit. The first 10 Reavers are very close to completion. We have around 15 Justarin built, undercoated. Another 10 Reavers are just been primed today, actually. And there's a Dreadnought, a centerpiece Dreadnought to go alongside them for my Isfahan 3 force. I guess this video is more about me jotting ideas down. It's a bit like a stream of consciousness that I'll type up for the blog. I'm trying to get the theme straight in my head, trying to discover the character of my force, and I thought, why not throw up a video and see what you make of it. You could come along the journey with me for the decision-making process. If you have any feedback, please feel free to send it through. Please make it nice, though. I've seen some of the YouTube comments that exist out there. I really don't want to catch any flack for sharing my hobby. Okay, so the notes themselves. Most of my inspiration comes from page 66 of Betrayal, and that's the first Horus Heresy Black Book written by Forge World and the masterful Alan Bly. Okay, so the later Sons of Horus were really heavily influenced by Chthonian, and my force is very much a reflection of a late era Sons of Horus force. The Terran recruits by this stage largely have been killed during the Great Crusade, and any any Terran elements have been either incorporated into the Lodge, into the thinking, into the style of the Sons of Horus at this point, or they're waiting on Isfahan 3, waiting for the spear tip to descend on them. In a large part, their character is very heavily informed by Chthonian itself. It's a dead industrial world that produces only one meaningful product to the Imperium, and that's people. Hives above ground regularly collapse into the overmined core. It's as close as I can imagine to a rotten apple cored and discarded. It's a horrible place to be. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And in this dying, decaying wasteland, we have gangs holding on to whatever little influence, like rats scrabbling for that last piece of meat. It's a very, very bleak universe. So, amidst the ruins of Chthonian, or Chitonia, which is a really cool counter pronunciation, we have roughly 3 types of gang. We have static, those who take territory and defend it, withdrawing the income through forced tribute. We have raiders, gangs who rove and raid. They take their tribute in blood, ammunition, and sometimes to improve their fierce reputation. If you wanted to look into a historical correlation to this, look up the rape of the Sabine women. It's a rather distasteful origin story of the Roman Empire. but there's some wonderful classical pieces of art done surrounding it, and it's one of those stories that keeps getting reinterpreted again and again and again by generations. And thirdly, we have what I've classified as knifemen. These are the ambiguous gang members. I've categorized them as assassins in the dark, and they're motivated by who knows what. They live in the shadows and they commune with the powers that be. So, Static, Raiders, Knifemen. Static, I imagine to be the Justarian, or very heavily influenced by the Justarian. Big, blocky dudes, taking ground, demanding tribute. Reavers, getting ahead of myself. The Raiders, I think, can be ascribed to Reaver squads, how they operate. Very quick, very fluid methodology of warfare. Now, the Knifemen, I think that comes later on in the story. It's more closely associated with the character of Molagust, the Twisted, who will go on to develop an understanding and relationship with the Chaos Gods and the I guess, underlying influences of the physical universe. The miniatures pictured were painted in a realistic style. I wanted to make the viewer feel like they had been transported into this universe. And this is a common thing I do throughout my work. As an artist, I want to be as transparent as possible. I don't want you to see painting techniques. I don't want you to look at it, oh, that's a really nice piece of OSL. No, I want you to feel like you're almost seeing a wartime picture of that scene. I want you almost like a drone, a top-down image of this universe. And the depictions of the Astartes here are mid-conflict. The colours are muted, the armour is broken and fractured, there's blood and mud spatters all over. It's a very unclean paint job, but to go alongside this, you do need to be quite controlled in its application. If you drown your miniatures in blood, it's very obvious what you've done. Each armour plate, if you look at them, has been given a level of weathering normally reserved for characters in the Force. I'm only painting around 30 models in total, so this level of detailing is something I can get away with and I can fit into a reasonable time frame. And I guess this is a point I like to push on my students. It's important to know what your objectives are when you start painting a project. If you're painting an orc horde, for example, don't spend 4 hours on each miniature. Those few that you do manage to create will look amazing, but you'll never finish an army. You'll never finish a collection. So going into that project with the intention that I have an X amount of hour to create this force, you can create a colour scheme, an effective colour scheme around that. If you are painting display pieces, by all means sink your time into it, but it's very clear you need a clear, obvious objective before going into any project. And that's how that's something I tell myself over and over and over again before I start something like this. But that was the first video, blog, diary entry of the hashtag Return to Istvan series. If you did want to join in, it's not too late. There is a time frame of the 1st of December 2020. It's a soft deadline we've set ourselves just to give us something to head towards. The original plan was to meet up at Warhammer World. Anybody who does manage to complete the Return to Istvan challenge, that's looking more and more unlikely, given the situation with Corona currently. However, December 1st is still in place. Feel free to join in, and we have left the hashtag rather ambiguous, Return to Istvan, because of course once you've built a 1500 point Centurion force, of course you want to throw a couple of Land Raiders in there. Speaking for myself, I want to paint Horus and include him in the Force. So if Istvan 3 or if any of the legions of Istvan 3 doesn't really tickle your fancy, some of the ones for Istvan 5 do, consider joining in later on in the year. Anyway, thank you for listening to my ramblings. I'll leave you I'll leave you to yourself. Okay, I'll catch you. If this is popular, if you want to hear more of my ramblings, please let me know. Leave a little comment below. Sign up to the Patreon. Oh, that's what I need to do, plug the Patreon. If you'd like to learn how to paint these, there's a full guide on the Sons of Horus Sea Grid and an in-depth tutorial on weathering, including microchipping, available right now to view. And this isn't only on Sons of Horus miniatures, it's also on tanks, vehicles, and we have nearly 4 years worth of material on there at this point. It's a good deal for $15 per month. But if you do want to see more of these type of videos, let me know. If I don't know, I don't know. Catch you next time. Kill for the living, kill for the dead.